Right, hello there. So, sorry the SE2 stream died for some reason. Well, I know the reason. My router crapped out and decided to turn off again. But it's all back up and running again. And the SE2 stream was almost at an end for the evening anyway. And because people kept asking me about mech building in SE1, I thought, smeg it, why not drop into SE1 for a couple of hours, do some mech building, I can answer some people's questions, and do the thing I actually enjoy in Space Engineers, because SE2 is mostly just throwing buildings together at the moment, so I can't really do what I like to do, so we'll do a bit of robot building. Yeah, so again, sorry the stream died. I'm as annoyed about it as you are. My router decided to crap out and then turned on literally right as the YouTube stream decided to give up the ghost. But anyway, who have we got on the chat? Seth on duty, good work on that mech, incredible, thank you very much. He's more or less finished. I might be publishing the blueprint for this guy in a couple of days. Oh, I had a message from somebody over on Twitch from about half an hour ago, from about an hour ago. Oh, I'm sorry I didn't see that message. Kinsey Carter 2, if you are still watching, hey, how are you doing too? I can see there's one person watching over on Twitch. Hey, Arkville, hey, how you doing, man? Sorry the stream died. Usual internet problems, but I thought I'd do some mech building instead for a bit, because it's more fun, in my opinion. And we'll do a bit of... My plan is to kind of rebuild this guy that you can see here, and show you how I built him in the first place. Since I did the video yesterday, I have actually made a mod for the sound block, although I am still a victim of the mono sound bug issue. So all of my sound block effects are mostly left-sided, which is really annoying, but yeah, I have set them up with some sound effects that may or may not get... they shouldn't get me copyright claimed. But if I turn on his patrol route and let him walk around for a little bit, bum ba bum ba bum, he can do that. I can copy this grid over here, dum da dum da dum da dum da dum. We'll paste him into there. Then we'll go into his control panel, select everything, transfer it to the bad guys, give him a second. There you go, that's the one everybody wants to hear. You now have 15 seconds to comply. And that was about as good as I could sample the audio from the film. And trying to EQ and filter out most of the background noise. But yeah, he can do that, although the AI blocks have a little bit of a bug when you forcibly remove their target. They get a little bit confused. And he's going over. Oh, there he goes. That'll get him back up on his feet again. Cool, right. Have I still got damage on in this world? Yes, I have. That is going right off while I mess around. So, what's that? Seth on duty. With engineering, the closer you want to perfection, the further you are from completion. Yeah, you can never have complete perfection in Space Engineers just because of the nature of the way the blocks are shaped and work, but you can get pretty close. Like I said in the SE2 stream, this is about as small as I've been able to get an ED-209 design, and he is currently the size of a house, which is why I really want those 25cm blocks in SE2. But yeah, so this guy right here. In fact, he's got a follow mode as well, so he can go and patrol, but you can also follow me around and protect me. Might have issues, because he's got a sensor on him to stop him colliding with large grid stuff. So let's just turn that off. Let's just put him out of there. And we will paste him in here. So we've got something to work off. And then I'm going to build another one on here, because this is one of my little workshop worlds that I can use in creative or in survival if I like. There's a little farm over there. I think I still need to reset a few things, but I've got my little farming robots over in this side from my Alien Survival series. And then I've got a factory over there for producing parts. And then we've got a little workstation here, so let's add a small rotor back onto there. Oh yeah, I need to set up the buttons again so they've got pictures on them, because apparently the pictures I set up on here didn't get carried over in the blueprint, and I'm not sure why. Yeah, that should be tall enough to have some clearance to the floor. So, we've got this dude here. So if I paste another one, we can strip back the armor blocks so we can see what's actually going on in here. Because there's a lot of stuff quite tightly packed in this build. Well, there, we'll take these off as well. So you can see all the stuff that goes into this nonsense. Get that out, and then we will put back this. We don't need that camera on the top. We need to be able to see the programming blocks inside of him. Oop, that's not what I want to do. No one delete that by mistake. What's that? Nice. Lol, the sound is fine on stream, by the way. Can't discern left from right anyway. Oh, well, it might just be my speakers then, because when I hear those sound effects, they very distinctly only come through my left speaker. All that can go. That can go. That can go. Do. Get rid of that. Don't need that. Get rid of that. That bit's got a light on it, so that's actually kind of important to the build. That can stay. Right, there we go. So we can see now most of what is going on inside this robot. That can go. Don't need that. Buttons aren't massively important, but they are in the way, so I will remove that layer as well. Get rid of them buttons. There we go. So that is basically the skeletal inside of this ED-209 build. So we've got... I've had to spread things out a little bit to accommodate all the things that he needs, but he's mostly got walk and balance controls in the bottom, and then all of the combat stuff is at the top. There are a few walk control blocks up here that I had to move, but that's pretty much it. Pretty straightforward. get rid of that thruster. That is basically the center of the controls. So we are going to replicate this over here. So if I have you on that side, so I can see the insides, and I have you over here, so I can see the outside, we can replicate something like that. Is that going to be enough height? Let's put another block or two in there that we can delete later on. It's always a good idea to give yourself a little bit of wiggle room. So I'll go 2 blocks up, and that should have enough height to the ceiling. Right, so first things first, I'm going to build this walk cycle block right in the middle. That is just going to be a timer block. That is essentially going to be the part of the heart of this walk control system. So I'm going to call that walk cycle, because every time that ticks, it is going to make these lights turn on and off, which will then animate the legs. And then attached to that, we have a walk cycle rotor. And as that ticks round, it is going to trigger some event controllers that are in turn going to trigger that timer. So that can go there. And that's going to be our little clock, essentially, that is going to count each step of the walk cycle for us and trigger it. And then I moved a whole bunch of stuff around here, so these controllers aren't what I'd usually put down here. What have we got? We've got 2 walk cycle timers. So basically, that rotor is going to trigger these event controllers, which are then going to trigger that timer. So we will build a pair of event controllers, which are, as I've said before, pretty much my favourite block in this entire game these days, because they are so useful and versatile. Let's put a bit of mirror mode on it. I'm doing it in creative mode with creative tools, so yeah, I had it facing out like so. So we'll have 2 of them, one called Cycle 1 and one called Cycle 2. And what else did we have on here? I've got the offensive block for the AI and some more event controllers for the guard and patrol modes. Cool. Right, so offensive block. These blocks actually, it doesn't matter what orientation they are. They don't really have a front or a back or an up or a down. The recorder blocks and the flight blocks definitely do. They are very important which way you get them facing. Otherwise your mech or robot or drone can end up going sideways. Right, so that's that, and then we've got 2 more event controllers that we're going to have like that, and then we've got another 2 at the back for some other things. So what did I end up naming them? That is the AI guard mode. Copy that. We'll end up setting that up much later on. Roll mode. That can, again, wait until we've got all the other pieces in place. That is docking controls, which I've actually yet to set up on these blueprints, on these designs before I blueprint them. And the other one was crouch mode, so that this guy can crouch down like so. That was that one. Right, so what do we need after that? Gyroscopes and the rest of the AI blocks, and a rotor in the middle for the torso section. Cool, so we will slap... what's that, Seth? Crouch mode reminds you of a bracing stance to fire off missiles. It could be. I mean, this is the version I'm eventually going to blueprint and publish and put out there on the workshops, but this version that we're making, we could actually adapt this into something player controlled. Actually, we could quite easily adapt the top of him to have a cockpit on, so we could ride him and fit some other weapons to him, so I might do that. Oh hey Akane Empire, how are you doing? Right, so let's put that with the 0 facing forwards, because that is going to be the start of our torso twist section. So that is... that would be helpful. I've got these armor plates off the top so I could see what I'm looking at. Yeah, right, so that's that. Those are the two task blocks for the patrol and the guard modes. And then we've got the 4 gyros, and then a remote control at the back. Groovy. I find it's always a good idea, if you can, if you've got the room for it, squeeze in a remote control into your mech builds. Particularly if you're building them to be autonomous and wander about on their own. Because that way, you can control them if they start screwing around and doing stupid things. So we've got that for the AI, that for me. A task block either side to do a follow player and an autopilot command. And let's copy those names actually. Remote control. There's nothing special about that name, but we'll copy it anyway. Copy. Paste. That can be the guard mode. And that can be the patrol mode. And then a bunch of gyros so the AI can control it. Cool. Oh yeah, if I want to make the thing rideable, I would have to rethink some of the gyro control. We'll just make a drone for now, and then we can adapt it to be possibly rideable later on. We'll get something that works first. So then, 4 gyros for the AI to control, or for us as the player, if we're using that remote control block. Because I can quite, if I had any power, could do. Let's go sit at a desk for a second, get some power charged. Yeah. You know what, I might even make another copy of him. And just let him wander about. People that nonsense. Patrol mode, off you go, mates. You do your thing while we're building over here. Yeah, because as I was saying, these things are set up to be remote operated as well, so I can then walk him about. He doesn't have a reverse walk at the moment because I've been debating whether or not to try and squeeze in reverse walking controls. It's a bit tricky getting the AI to use it effectively. Most of the time they will just turn around instead. Yeah, so that is that, and then legs, we have got a pair of rotors either side. Because I find that, given the choice between rotors and hinges, I will usually go with rotors above hinges. Because hinges are great, but they tend to be quite clangy and don't really like any kind of lateral force on them. They don't like being pushed side to side. Whereas rotors seem to be able to take a little bit more punishment. And noticeably less clangy. We'll put that rotor on there, let that spin round into position. There we go. Copy all of that, let that rotor spin round into position. Cool, and then we can rebuild some of these legs. So what did I do here? I used the lovely new rounded blocks. What's that, Seth? SE has come such a long way. It has done, particularly in the last year or two. The last few updates we've had in the last year or so have been really, really good and added a whole bunch of stuff that I basically can't live without anymore. Which block did we use for that? That one, wasn't it? Yeah, that looks about right. We've got that there, we've got that there, and we've got a couple of hinges off the end of that. Because as much as I said I prefer using rotors a lot of the time, rotors are really good for hips. Hinges tend to be better for doing knee joints and things like that. Depending on your build, of course. You're building something big and you can double hinge it instead of double rotor it instead of hinging it. I usually try and do that because if I wanted to make something like this fly and I strapped thrusters onto that section of these legs, those hinges would start kicking up a right fuss. Whereas if I put them on this section where the rotor is, the rotor wouldn't kick off nearly as much. Oh hey Colin Kai, back again. In the event controller, does the event angle change detect when a rotor is equal to on an angle, or does it detect when it has travelled at a certain... It detects when it gets to that particular angle. So if you set a event controller to trigger when it's greater to or equal than 25, for example, when it rotates round to 25 degrees, that's when you get the trigger action. That is why I love them so much, because it makes automating rotors and hinges so simple. Oh, what's that, Akane? Oh yes, amen to that. So I recently went to a lot of my old worlds from 5 to 10 years ago, and you can feel the limitations from the past oozing through. Yeah, on that subject, I noticed somebody commented on one of my short videos from when I first started my YouTube channel, on my really, really, really old Mechagodzilla build. And they left a comment saying something along the lines of, wow, that looks really cool. And I'm looking at it going, that looks really old and outdated, and I desperately need to update that build so badly. Yeah, because as cool as that Mechagodzilla design was, it is, I think it's pre-event controllers, because I was still using the MechWalker script back then. So it's like pre-event controller, that's how old that build is. And I do everything with event controllers now. Right, that leg is oriented with the lovely little piston bits at the side. So we'll have the nice, cool, new-looking pistons, and I'll find the connection point. There it is. There we go. We've got a leg piston there, so let's copy some details. Copy that. Paste that on. Leg piston, copy leg piston. I'm looking at the wrong side, you idiot. Copy all. Paste that onto there. You on the left-hand side. So oh yeah, I need to put another piston on this side. There we go. So leg piston right. Leg piston right. Do you want to actually copy those details? Paste them on, thank you, that's the one. Oh, hello, Fantasia. It seems you have a candy of some sort in your mouth all the time. I don't, that's just the way I talk, unfortunately. Right, that can go there. Right, that is left and right. Then we've got a hinge on the end for the ankle. Where's that angled? And the pegs facing out. So, another little tip for mech building. Orientations of your hinges and rotors. These little white markers here indicate one side of the rotor. I think it's the negative side, so if I reduce the value there, it tips in that direction. So I generally consider that peg, those two little white markers, to basically be the back of the hinge. And that is the front of the hinge, because that's positive values. That's just the way I look at it. So when you're setting your legs up, depending on how you want them to move, if you set them up in various orientations, it can actually make your life easier. So the way I've got these set up is all positive values extend the legs back out, because they're both oriented in a way that positive values push them out, and negative values will retract them. So that is one way of keeping track of how your legs are oriented, and the same with rotors. Your 0 mark on your rotor body is there, and the 0 mark on the rotor head is this tiny little black line here. So when you attach your head to a rotor body, that is what it considers to be 0, so you can bear that in mind for where things are going to end up when you attach them. Because if you built one leg with that facing that way and the other leg with the hinge facing the other way, it'll all get very confusing when it comes to programming stuff. And it'll all get real messy real quick. What block did I use for the bottom of that foot? Ah, the same one I used for the upper section of the midsection of the thigh. There it is. Copy that colour. How did I orient it? Actually, I don't suppose it really matters too much, does it? In fact, it'd probably make more sense if we actually put it that way. That's something I need to change on that foot. Yeah, because that way the blocks will marry up nicer with the other blocks. Okay, that's something I need to make a note of for next time. Or for when I get ready to publish that, dude. That could go there. Then we can copy these details off here. Copy that off of there. Oh yeah, I noticed I was recording in Space Engineers the other day, so I turned all the music off. Let's put the background music back on. So it's not just complete silence. Right. So, let's build that foot. What did I do with that foot? Oh yeah, I see what I did with that foot. Yep. That, and then a bunch of wedge blocks. One of them. Oop, not that way around. That way around. There we go. Yeah. Try and get the orientation of that right. There we go. Finally. In fact, I want to mirror mode these feet. It's easier. And then we're gonna have, where is it? One of them in there, and one of them in there. Lovely, and then a few more rounded blocks to do the sides of these feet. That's the one. One like that, one like that. And then what did I have on there? Just had the corner pieces, that's the one. There's the little corner. Keep going past it. There it is. Let's copy that colour. And then we can do the back of this foot. So, do. Awesome. Right. So, those are some basic legs. Let's get this torso on the go. So what is it? Hinge, and then directly onto a conveyor converter, or conveyor junction rather. We didn't. Where's the torso rotor? There we go. Copy that. Just onto there. Let that spin round to where it wants to be. we will copy those details. And that can go there. Right, cool. So that can then be our torso hinge. And then we've got a conveyor junction on there. And that had a sorter either side with a rotor either side for the arms. Cool. So, sorters for both pulling and storing a little bit of ammunition. And then advanced rotors for sending that ammunition into the arms. So, where's the 0? There it is. And 0 that side. Oop, wrong rotor. And that's 0 that side. Cool. I'll do the rest of the arms in a minute. What other bits did I need to get in here? That's got 3 custom turret controllers across the top of him. 1 for each arm and 1 for the torso section in the middle. Then what have we got here? Oh, that's the spare controllers that I was considering using for the walk cycle and haven't decided yet. There's a gap underneath because that's the only spare bit of space left, and that was the reverse controller that I haven't decided what I was going to do with yet. So, in that case, we will put 3 placeholder blocks in for now, because I'm not sure if I actually want to copy that over or whether I want to change it or not. Then we need crouch mode, torso, arm weapons. That needs a... orient them outside. So, 1 for the arms, 1 for the torso on and off. And a timer for the crouch mode on and off. Or the crouch mode. Oh, yeah, I did it. I don't know how I did it. Because that's crouch off and that's crouch on. So yeah, that's 1 timer there. That'll have another timer directly underneath it. There's all sorts of headachy why is there a timer called docking in there? That should be an event controller. Well, it's good to crack open your builds once in a while, because you'll spot things that you're not even entirely sure why you've done that. Why is that called that? Because there's an event controller back here called docking. Looks like I've got a spare timer in here. Okay, fair enough. I'll have to double check that on that build before I publish it. So what were we doing? We were doing controllers. Oh yeah, we were doing that. Yeah, I do really wonder why I put that timer there. That shouldn't be there. Crouch mode off. What else have we got? We've got 2 more event controllers here that I've oriented facing forwards for some reason, when I usually put them facing out. So I'm going to change that on this one. Oh wait, hang on. Yeah, I've already done that actually. It's these ones we're doing now, so that is going to be the rest of the walk controls. Okay. Yeah. I know what to now. Cool, so we will have a timer there for the walk start and reset. Because if we want our legs to be able to reset back to a standing position and get set up so they can walk, we need a way of doing that. So we'll have walk start, put that in there. We'll have walk reset here, we'll put that there. And yeah, and we've got two event controllers for the walk cycle, step and return controls. And what was under there in the middle? That's the docking timer that I don't know why I've called it docking. And then we've got the event controller to trigger the walk cycle using thrusters. So we'll have that there. You get to be forward walk control. That will be the step control. Make the leg move back and forth. That will be the return control, which will make the foot drop back down when it has stepped forwards. And these two will be the same for the right hand side. So forward walk right and forward walk right return. And that is more or less all we need to get things started, other than some thrusters. So if I pop an antenna back here, like on the other build, I find the right orientation, there it goes. I can then have a couple of small thrusters to trigger the walk cycle, because currently thrusters are the only blocks that have a keyboard input that can interact with the event controllers. Yeah, what's that, Seth? Anyone else taking notes? Well, that's why I like doing the live streams. Because that way people can refer back to them, and I've actually sometimes referred back to my own live streams because I've had ideas on stream and gone, that's really cool, I need to remember that, and then I've forgotten it and gone, oh yeah, I put a reminder for myself in the stream. Go back and watch it. Let's squeeze back there, copy that one. So the reason that there is one thruster without overrides and one thruster with overrides is the AI blocks like to completely ignore any inertial dampener settings that you have. And the inertial dampener settings, because of the way thrusters work, will screw with these walk controls, so you need to turn them off. What's that? Seth. Incredible work, if I can say anything. Say again. Oh, cheers, man. Yeah, I've been doing this vanilla robot thing in Space Engineers for a couple of years now, and I've got definitely got a few ideas worked out that seem to work pretty consistently. Oh, and also, as I was saying in the SE2 stream, I always forget about power sources because I'm building it off the base technically and using the base as power, so we will pop a reactor in there, that'll connect that to that when I eventually delete those blocks. Oh yeah, and then to trigger the whole leg moving thing, we'll have a couple of lights, but I might orient these ones that way instead. Copy all. I mean, the light, you don't have to use lights to trigger these. You can literally use any block that has an on and off state to do it the way I do it. But I like to use lights because they're pretty. You can change the colours on them. They're a good visual indicator of what's doing what. Oh, hey, Ledner, how you doing? The bots are doing okay. I'm messing with my ED-209 build that I've been playing with this week. I've got one over there just doing his rounds, and I've got a stripped back one here so we can see what's going on inside him, and an almost complete one there, although I've discovered that I've put a few random blocks in here that I don't actually need. Why are there pistons on the legs? No, the pistons are entirely functional. So if we look at this dude, follow him along, you can see those pistons are retracting and extending as he walks along to help give him a little bit of extra clearance as he's walking along. Because that's kind of how ED-209's legs actually work in the film. He has some sort of pneumatic piston-y type thing going on. So yeah, that just helps give the legs a bit more clearance from the ground as they're walking. Took a bit of experimenting to get all the timings right, but he's got a pretty decent, fairly smooth walk cycle now. Seth, keyword consistency. Engineering requires this. My work real world leads me to remind workers that I only need a system to work twice to prove it works. Yeah. That's it, the first one can always be a fluke. Right then, so... Lights, oh, I'm still attached to him with my dampeners. Right then, so... I can... set up the leg controls now. Let's build a little seat to sit on. So I put that there. Oh, actually, sitting behind is probably gonna. Sitting in front's probably gonna be a daft idea. Let's go behind. We will put a. Yeah, we'll just go from there for now. Or actually, we'll go from there, so we're underneath, because we'll need that space for the torso to move about. Control seat. There we go. Cool. Right. So let's jump into spectator mode so we can see what is actually going on here. Right. So, pressing Space Engineers 1 button, Space Engineers 2 buttons. Right, ED-209. Fantasia, your mechs are incredible. I haven't built a working one yet, but the amount of good tips you give is incredible. Give an insane amount of inspiration. Oh, thank you, man. Yeah, well, like I said, I've been doing this mech thing for a while, and I always get people asking me, how do you do this, how do you do that, so I just try to explain it as much as I can. A lot of it is in my head and trying to figure out how to verbalise it, but yeah, I try and explain as much as I can so other people can do it too. Because I started in Space Engineers on the Xbox One, so I didn't have the luxury of scripts and things. I had to figure out the long-winded mechanical ways of doing it, and that's kind of carried over into my PC playing as well. I still find myself wanting to do it the mechanical way. Right, so ED-209 walk controls. So this is again a reason why I find naming conventions to be quite useful, like coming up with a tag for your individual grid and then different names for different systems. So if I just type in ED-209 and walk, all of ED-209's walk stuff comes up. And makes it a little bit easier to figure out what we're doing. So, why have I put 2 Ys in cycle? That means I've put 2 Ys in cycle on the other build. What's that? These giant walking computers are so fun to reverse engineer. Well, that's kind of how I started doing the mech stuff. I was downloading like Black Armor's blueprints and stuff and figuring out how he did it and then trying to replicate his builds step by step, building it myself and copying the settings he'd used, and then like seeing how they work practically rather than just literally copying a blueprint and going, yeah, that's cool, that's done. Actually reverse engineering his stuff like block by block, and that ends up being quite helpful and quite useful. So next step is groups for lots of things. So you can just throw the blocks straight into your timers and stuff like that. So for example, I could stick that walk light bang into there. We can see here it's got white text. That is because it's just the individual block. Now, if for example this mech got damaged and I needed to replace something that got blown up, that block, if it got destroyed, would then just appear as a solid white square, because that is the block missing logo. Whereas, if you make a group for something and add in the group rather than the individual block, you get the blue text, which indicates it's a group. So now, if anything happens to that walk light, say I hop out and grind it off, it is now missing, but there is a group left behind. Whereas if I did that with the right hand light, with just the block itself, and grind that out, or say it got shot off or smashed or something, that block there, if I replace it, is not going to get replaced properly. Or it wouldn't do the last time I tried doing anything like this. It usually just registers it as a completely new block. So that was the right hand light. We can put that back in place, set it up exactly like it was before, and you see it's still grayed out because it is technically a separate block and a new block, whereas with the one we've added using a group, I pop that back on there, put that back to there, jump back in the cockpit, and then remake that group, walk like L01. That is now back and working, because the timer is looking for a group with this name. It doesn't really care what the block is, it's just looking for a group with that name, and it will replace that action and that block. So I tend to use an awful lot of groups in my builds these days. Because obviously you can't print subgrids, and if subgrids get damaged, it's a pain in the ass to rebuild them, especially if you've got complex programming, and that is one of the ways you can kind of get around it a little bit. So, enough of that rambling. We will make another group for the right hand leg, or right hand leg light. In fact, we don't even need to do that. We can make one group for both of them, and just call it walk lights. That group there, walk lights, will then just go into there, on off. That is literally the only action we need in there, and that is going to alternate the lights turning on and off eventually. So then from there, that walk cycle timer, that is going to get a group as well, and then that is going to go into these two event controllers, which are both going to be set to the rotor angle setting, and then they are then going to be offset from each other. And with event controllers, they still have a little bit of an issue registering single-digit values, or values less than 10 or minus 10 at high velocity. Sometimes they miss, so what I usually do is start everything from 10 instead. So we'll have that one at 10, we'll have that one at 190, and then they are 180 degrees apart, because it is a 360 degree circle. And they will both be looking at the walk cycle rotor that we built right at the beginning. The one that I said was kind of like a clock. And then this timer, this event controller, every time it spins around the triggers, it is going to trigger that walk cycle timer. Trigger that now. Groovy. And so if I offset that one for now, then we're looking at that rotor. That rotor will, it's already got some settings on it, so when that rotor turns on, let's get my spectator cam in position. So as that rotor spins, it should be triggering them, but they're not turned on, that's why. What else isn't turned on here? So I've just copied some settings straight over. Walk cycle. Walk cycle. That's on turn, that's on turn, that's on trigger, that's on trigger. Why aren't you triggering? What have I smagged up there? That rotor's definitely spinning, that's definitely doing that. That's definitely doing that. Oh, that's switched off, that's why. There we go, stuff was all switched off. So yeah, we'll have the lights offset from each other, so one side will turn on, one side will turn off. As that rotor spins, it triggers these event controllers, which then triggers the timer that's bang in the middle. It alternates those lights, and then we will set those lights up to control the leg movements. So, ED-209 walking, that rotor can go off for a minute. So, I am going to quickly have a look over here, because I need to set some stuff up. Oh yeah, that's what we need to do. We need to set up some... Actually, we can do it off of you. You've got more easily accessible panels somewhere. Ah, there they are. So, I need to set up the walk start and walk reset timers, because they are going to set our legs into the positions we need for walking and standing straight. So, walk start. In fact, let me just get the angles for the legs first. In fact, that's something I can do. I could... It's an easy way of doing it. Oh, there's a control panel there. That'll do. So if I get that then sets the legs into the starting position for when he wants to walk. So we can then just copy these angles for now. So 60 and 15. So when you're setting the angles for your legs on your mech, kind of work out the position you want the leg to be in its resting state. So I just wanted a 90-degree angle like that, but it can be pretty much anything you like. And then what you need to do is just sort of mess with the angles a little bit until you get both feet a decent distance apart and more or less level. Gone a bit wobbly and wonky. And yeah, it takes a little bit of tweaking depending on what kind of thing you've got set up. But you can see something like that there, that's already quite good. That foot's a little bit lower than the other, so you could either tweak that leg to come back a bit or tweak that leg to go a bit further back, depending on how you want to set it up. But yeah, you can eventually get a nice level setup like this, and we'll just copy and paste those settings, because I already know that they work. So I'll paste that onto there. That should already be 45 and 0. Nope, it's not, because we copied that from its standing position. So that's on there now. Yep, minus 45 and 0. Copy all those details from there. Copy, paste, lovely. Copy all of that. Oh, hello Manu. Greetings, mate. How are you doing? Right. What's that? Have I tried making another custom resting position when the mech is in idle mode or charging? Well, that is what the crouching and the is standing position is there. So if I take control of this one, see, when I push the forward key, it triggers that walk start timer that I manually triggered on the other one, and then when I release the key, it does the walk reset, which puts the legs back into a nice balanced central position. Because yeah, otherwise I just have to have the mech take a step and then his resting position would be like that, without the walk start and reset timers that I build. It'd just be in that position all the time, one foot after the other. Oh, Seth, thank you very much. Here's an arbitrary amount of cash to help out with your cat's medicine. Oh, thank you very much, mate. Good luck on your future endeavours. Love from Canadian Navy Sailor. Oh, thank you very much, my friend. What's that, Manu? Brother, I can't imagine the crazy things you'll do in SE2 when it's more complete. We were just talking about that in my SE2 stream earlier this evening. I am itching for the rotors to be a thing in that game. I am literally waiting for every little bit of information or update on that. I cannot wait to get my hands on the rotors in that game and start doing ridiculous things in that game as well, because there's a few things in SE2 that I think are going to make mech building in SE2 very different and potentially much better than SE1, particularly the 20 meter a second damage limiter. That is going to make such a huge difference. Because, for instance, this guy, he's got feet made of blocks. If I had him walking much quicker than he is now with damage switched on, he would start smashing his own feet to pieces. And even now, if he turns too quickly or falls over or something, he could potentially do himself some serious damage. Whereas, that's the wrong button. Whereas with SC2, we've got this 20 meter a second damage limiter, which means you can bump things around a lot more without smashing stuff to bits. I mean, I was building a mech on stream the other day, and I literally bumped it ever so slightly into another block, and it smashed up the entire front side of the mech, and it was like, really? That just did all of that damage? So yeah, the SE2 blocks, they are going to be quite a bit different and quite a lot better in my opinion, or at least I'm hoping they will be anyway. We need to set that rotor as well, copy all of that. Is that got, yeah, that needs its limits setting. That's set up, that's set up. That doesn't have anything change on it. That's set up. Cool, right. So, what did I do with the walk cycle controls on here? Because I tweak them all slightly differently on each mech depending on the design, so all the timings will be slightly different from one mech to another. So what have we got here? In fact, let me just grab a screenshot of that, it'll be easier. We got 10 and minus 10 on that page on the leg rotor, 10 and minus 10 on that hinge, minus 10 and 10 on that hinge, and minus 1 and 1 on the piston. So give me a second to find my screenshots folder, because I cannot be bothered trying to remember all of those details off the top of my head. There we go, wonderful. Right, that's what I need. And I just need the very bottom bit of that page. Lovely, right, cool. And while I'm here, I will grab some screenshots of the right-hand controller. So some of these controls will be the opposite way around, and some of them won't. Well, it'll be the rotor ones that'll be the opposite way around. Cool, right, so that should be what I need to get these legs up and running. So, head, walk, forward controller. Right, so these two controllers, the forward, left and right, they are both going to be block switched on and off. And they are going to be triggered by those two walk lights. So the left one will do the left controller, and the right one will do the right controller. Oh, what's that Fantasia? I got SE2, but I think I won't play it in like 3 years. With mods, I'm happy with SE1. Definitely want to have more content and some mods when I switch to SE2. Just can't go vanilla. Yeah, I mean, SE2, again, it's still in alpha. It's still a long way off being a full game, and I don't blame people in the slightest for holding off on it. As I mentioned before, the only reason I really play it much at the moment is because Keen were nice enough to give me a free copy to play with. So I've done a bit of experimenting with it, but I can't do anything close to my regular kind of gameplay in SE2 at the moment, so I've spent more time modding the game than playing it. Yeah. To be honest, I think by the end of this year, I think SE2 will be in a pretty good place. Because we've got 2.2 coming out soon-ish, soon TM as they keep saying. And I think VS3, VS 2.3, and or maybe VS3 itself, and 4 possibly are slated for some time this year. So I think, yeah, I think by the end of this year it'll be in a good place. And be less alpha-y. Anyway, let's set up these leg controls. So, before we do that, let's make some more groups, because the groups are the key to doing this. add leg hinges. Oh, pardon me. Hinges and rotors and pistons. So we are basically going to make a group for each one of these individually. It does make the control panel a little bit messy with the amount of groups involved, but in the long run it makes the programming a little bit easier to manage when things get smashed to pieces. I don't even want to save that group. There we go. Right, so I've got a group for all of them. Walk, ed, forward, leg 01. So ed, leg, L0. There we go. Now I can see all of my left-hand stuff. Just the stuff I need for this controller. So, what were we saying on that rotor? It was 10 when the light turns on. So, what's that, Seth? I'm excited for the devs. Keen has always done players solid by listening and implementing player base modding community ideas. Yes, they do. Keen are really good for, like I was saying on my SE2 stream earlier, Keen have been really good in all my experience for community interactions and stuff like that. I know they actively work with the guys that do that keep the MES mod ticking over, so that the new vanilla stuff, the new like vanilla encounter stuff they implement doesn't mess with MES too much, and vice versa. So yeah, they are pretty good at their community relations. So leg rotor, this was going to be set to, so basically event controllers, you've got a tick and you've got a cross. That's your positive value, that's your negative value. Essentially, that is on, that is off. So when the light turns on, we'll be doing this action. And when the light turns off, we'll be doing that action. What's that? Akane had to step away for a moment to set up some sound blocks. What have I missed? You haven't missed much other than me rambling. I'm about to start playing with these warp controls. So, leg rotor, L01, is going to be set to 10 RPM when the light turns on, and minus 10 when the light turns off. And if I put those warp lights on my toolbar, now when I flick that light on and off, it would help if the controller was on, because they're all turned off from the settings I've copied over. There we go. So now when I flick that light on and off, that section of the leg moves back and forth. Then the next thing in that one was the foot rotor. Right, so what I usually like to do, and what you'll most often find with your legs, is your hip and your foot will most often travel the same distance. It'll have similar angles, and you'll want it to move at the same speed to keep it nice and keep the foot nice and flat as it moves. So, ed, leg, L0, not LO. Oh, hey Alexander, how are you doing, mate? How are you? So, leg L03, that is the hinge down here on the ankle. That is going to be set to 10 RPM when the light turns on, and that one, and minus 10 when the light turns off. So now, when I flick that light on and off, the foot stays nice and flat and nice and level with the floor. Then we can go back in, and we can add in our next hinge, which is the middle one for the knee. So as I said before, the way I've oriented them, negative values will retract it, positive ones will extend it. So leg hinge L02 will be minus 10 and positive 10. Now it's it's just kind of serendipitous that all of these leg settings have ended up all being 10. It won't necessarily be those values, depending on the shape of the legs you're building, but it's just happened to end up being nice matching values all around on this one. So yeah, now when I flick the light on, it lifts the leg up as it moves forwards. So we get a nice bit of clearance, but I want to get a bit more clearance, and that's why I put that piston in. So the last thing for this side is that piston, and I'm pretty sure that was... yeah, -1 and +1. So, add, leg, L0, leg piston, when it's on, it's -1, and when the light turns off, we want it to extend again. And yeah, there we go. So now we get a nice little extra bit of clearance as we lift, and then we want the leg, when it gets to there, to return back down and hit the floor again. And that is what the return event controller is for. Now that's... how did I set that up on the other Ed? What did I do with him? Return, RTN, left hand side. So, when the leg hinge gets to less than 30 degrees, it will then extend itself back out again. So, add, walk, return, angle hinge, less than, was it -30? Or was it just 30? I think it was -30, wasn't it? Double check quickly. RTN, yeah, it was -30, and that'll be the same for both of them, because they're both oriented the same way. Oh, hey, Engineer Coffee. How you doing, mate? No worries, dude. To be honest, I'm up later than I normally would be, because I felt like it, why not? And annoyingly, a lot of my audience seems to be in the US and Canada, and we are on very different timescales. Right, so... yeah, so I set that up correctly. Right, add, walk, return. So yeah, that is going to look at the leg hinge for his knee. So as his knee lifts up, it's going to check where that knee is, and when it gets to the right place, it's going to drop back down again. And all we need to do for this one is L02 hinge +10. So theoretically now, there we go. As it moves forwards and gets to the right point, it will reset down and meet the floor nicely. And we come down here. Oh, that's what I forgot to do. There's another command in there. Add, walk, return. We need to extend that piston back out as well. So next page, add, leg, piston, left, set velocity, 1 RPM. What's that, Engineer Coffee? You're on the US West Coast, so it's only 3 PM for you. Yeah, it's 11 o'clock at night for me. Yeah, it's why I very rarely watch Aya's evening streams, because his evenings are literally like 4 o'clock in the morning for me. And it's the same problem trying to watch Splitsie streams and stuff, because he's in Australia. That's even worse. Right, so there we go. That was the missing control, so now the leg drops back down into a nice position, and then we can do the same thing for the other side. So, let me get my next set of screenshots. Where did they go? They've apparently not appeared on there. Dun, 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 dun. Where are you? Ah, there you are. That's the one. Right, screenshots for right-hand side. Yeah, that's the right one. Cool. Right, so right-hand side. So this rotor is going to be oriented the other way around. Well, it is oriented the other way around, because you can only mount hinges, only mount rotors one way around. There is no other way around like hinges. So the values for the rotors are going to be slightly different. So leg R0. So this one is going to be -10 to move it forwards and +10 to move it backwards. And we've got the hinges and pistons. They're all going to be exactly the same as the other side. So that'll be 10 and -10. That next one will be, yep, -10 and 10. So -10 there, 10 o'clock there, 10 o'clock, 10 RPM. So we've got time zones on the brain. And then piston -1 and 1, and that should be all of them. Cool. So then we can set up the return control to do the same thing. It'll be exactly the same as the left-hand one. So angle changed, less than -30, looking at the right knee hinge. And when that triggers, add leg R0, we are going to have that set to 10 RPM and that set to 1. So now if I hit the right light, there we go. And then I can alternate the two lights, turn it on and off, and that's created a basic walk cycle. So then I've got my walk cycle timer that we set up earlier with those lights. So now if I just hit the timer over and over again, that will do the whole walk cycle for us. What's that, Seth? A cool feature would be allow opposites for hinges rotors where one side is positive. Check both for negative other side, so much less math involved. I mean, you can essentially just flip the hinges or things round. I like doing the maths though. That's the fun part for me, is doing all the working out. But yeah, we've now got that timer that can do all that for us, and then because we set up the walk cycle stuff earlier with that rotor, we can now just turn that rotor on and off, and that will just keep it going forever, although that looks a little bit quick. Let's bring that speed down a little bit. 35, he seems to be stepping a bit fast there. There we go, that seems a little bit more sensible. Where's that Ed gone? Are you walking too quick? No. Oh, that might have been from when I was messing with the settings earlier. Anyway, so now we've got that rotor. Now we've got a basic walk cycle. We can turn the rotor off, and it stops it. We turn the rotor on, and it starts it. But we want to be able to control that manually, so we can drive it like a vehicle, and that is what the thrusters are for. And that is what the... where is it? That one, the walk forward controller, is for. So, let's have a look and see what we did in here. So, CTRL for control. What's that? Pistons can't keep up with rotors too fast. It's not really an issue with that. I mean, the pistons can actually go remarkably fast. It all depends on what velocity settings you set on them. But if you do make the pistons move too fast, they can end up punching through the floor and destroying the feet. So I think the timings on that are alright for now. They're pretty solid. Oh yeah, I keep forgetting even in this world I need to eat food. Otherwise I can't sprint. Right, so what we did? Oh yeah, we were looking at the control event controller in here. So walk forward controller, that'll get triggered by a thruster, and that is doing a whole bunch of stuff. No, I'm just going to do more screenshots. So we've got that on page 1. There's a failsafe that we may or may not actually bother with, but I'll leave that slot empty anyway, because it's always good to have a few gaps at the front of your programming for any failsafes. So maybe a running speed in the future. Well, that's one of the things I'm hopeful for with SE2, because of that damage limiter. You'll actually be able to make faster mechs and not have to rely on using suspensions all the time to protect the feet from getting destroyed. Because 20 meters a second is actually quite quick. It's not very fast for a ship, it is quite quick for a mech. So what's that got in there? Where were we up to? We took that one. Did I take a screenshot of that? Yeah, I'll just take another one just in case. That's a gap there. That is what you wrote. What's that, Fantasia? There's a mod for that. A damage limiter in SE1 mod, would that be? Oh, what's that? Oh, hello, Anthony. You had an ED-209 inspired build in Scrap Mechanic. People keep mentioning that game, and I've still not played it. I might have to give it a go at some point. So, we can now set up some manual controls for Ed to walk with. So that controller there is going to get triggered by thruster output. About 5% is all we really need at the moment. And that forward controller, forward thruster, is going to be the trigger for it. And then we need to make some groups for stuff here. So I need a group for these two controllers, because I want them to turn on and off at certain times, so they don't conflict with some of our other controls later on. Ah, what's that? Yeah, it makes it so much harder to damage structures by hitting stuff. If you have a name of that mod or a link to it, feel free to drop it into the chat, because that sounds interesting. That sounds like my kind of mod. Because I know there are ways of cheesing blocks and making them indestructible, but I don't want blocks to be indestructible, I just want them to take less damage. And that mod sounds kind of cool. Right, so we've got a group for that. We will then need a group for the start and reset, which we will build in a minute, but I will make a group for them anyway. What's that, Acne? 20 meters a second will be nice. Then you'll just have to worry about jump jet jumps like other mech warriors. Yeah, that's it. I can deal with, like, fall damage. Adjustable collision damage, 50% reduction by default. Cool, I will be looking for that mod later on. It may apply to all blocks, so unless specifically as allowed, game breaking maker. too bothered. I just want my mechs to not feel like cardboard. Right, so let me grab those screenshots so I can see what the heck I was doing with that controller. Bum ba bum ba bum ba bum ba bum. Where have you gone? Presumably that one. Yes, that's the one. Right, cool. So, when this controller, this is powered and triggered by a thruster, when that thruster fires, we want those walk controllers to turn on, and when it stops firing, we want them to turn off, because we're going to set up some reset controls so we can get our legs back into the center nicely. So we will we'll leave a gap at the front for fail-safe that I might set up, and then that can go on and off. And then the next one can be the walk, start and reset, which I haven't built yet, but we will do that in a minute. So start and reset, then we will have the oh yeah, we need to make a group for the walk cycle rotor, because we need him to turn on and off. That is the next one on the list, isn't it? Yes, it is. Right. Yeah, cool. Add walk cycle rotor turns on and off. And we can also add in some colour changes on the lights. So when it walks forwards, we'll have it turn green, and when it stops walking, we will have it turn back to cyan. And that way we know we've stopped triggering stuff. So now, if I hit the forward thruster, it triggers that whole thing for me. And if I let go, it stops the whole thing for me. What's that? Engineered coffee. I'm excited to see what you create with the upcoming SE2. My day one mech is... I'm still waiting to see what size of rotors we actually get. If we get something reasonably small, my first day one mech is almost certainly going to be a Tachikoma. Or some kind of Ghost in the Shell think tank, but probably a Tachikoma. And if we only get large ones, then I will probably build a Jaeger or something. Some Pacific Rim size thing. But yeah, I'm hoping we get at least 50 centimeter size rotors. The equivalent of what we've got in small grid in SE1 at the moment. I hope we get something like that. If we get something like that, I will definitely do a little spider tank, almost certainly a Tachikoma. Right, so we've now got a basic walk cycle that we can turn on and off using those thrusters. So now I want those legs to reset back into the middle, so we can stand nice and straight like this dude. And that is where the walk, start and reset timers come in. So we've got a timer to set the legs up to walk and a timer to reset the legs back into the standing position. So we will do the start one first, because that's got quite a few pages of complicated nonsense to worry about. So, screenshot time again. So, page 1 is all of that. Page 2 is all of that. Page 3 and page 4. Oh, hey, Aya. How you doing, man? Yeah, I thought I'd do another stream, because why not? Do a bit of mech building, because people kept asking me about mech building in SE1 in my SE2 stream, so I thought, yeah, I'll just do some of this. Right, cool. So that is all the walk start stuff. And we won't really notice much of that when it gets set up, because it's basically going to set the legs into this position it's in already. But I need to get that set up first, because it kind of makes it easier. Because you're setting up for some settings you already have, and it makes it easier doing them first, rather than doing the reset timer. Because then you have to rework everything out again. So, screenshots once again. Where did they go? I think it was that one. Nope, it's not that one. It's not that one. It's... There we go. Right, that was the screenshot I needed. I don't need that one. Cool, there we go. Right, so, fail safes. When you're doing vanilla programming, fail safes are always a good thing to have, because timers activate everything in sequence from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 to 6, and then on to the next page and the next page and so on. You want to put all your fail safes up at the front, and then put all your actual actions that you want it to do later on. Or at least just get things in a sort of priority order where you've got the right things triggering at the right time. So this leg setup, because these legs are triggering stuff, they can get a bit messed up occasionally. So what we will do is we're going to set up the legs to alternate and basically be offset from each other. So the first one, I will switch it off first and then on. Oop. That'll make sure it cycles through both states and ends up in the one I want it to. Whereas if I just had the on switch on, sometimes things can not trigger properly. And then we'll do the opposite with the right hand side. That's going to turn on and off and should end up in the off state. And then that is that. Oh yes, I need a few more groups. So we need a group for the walk cycle controllers, because we need them to turn on and off, so the cycle controls don't get triggered by mistake. And we've already got a group for that, haven't we? So that should be fine. Right, walk start. So, add walk cycle. Right, so that can get turned on and that can get turned on, and that sets up our walk controls, or the core part of our walk controls. When we start moving, then we need to set up the leg and the rotor, the leg, rotor and hinge angles, because we're going to reset it back to something that's quite different from the angles we want when it's moving. So, what have we got here? Add leg bits. So, the left rotor, what did we have on that? We had 15 and 60 as the angles. So, that will set lower limit to 15 and set the upper limit to 60, and then with the other side, with rotors and the way event controllers count them, I find it's easier to use positive values than minus values. Gets a bit weird sometimes. So this side is going to be lower limit of 300 and upper limit of, where are we? Upper limit 345. And they're basically opposites of each other. Then we've got the knee hinges. So knee hinges, I'm going to set the lower limit to 45 and the upper limit is just going to be a flat 0, and they will both be the same. So minus 45 for lower limit, not velocity. I want it to suddenly start moving at 45 RPM, that'd be terrifying. And then that can be 0. I'm gonna need another cup of tea in a minute. What's that? Oh, I've only been doing 2 hours actually. It's definitely time for another cup of tea in a minute. Right, so the next page we have got a few more. That's L03. Yeah, right, cool. So then we've got the angles for our ankle hinges. So they are going to be lower limit rather, 15, and upper limit of 60, and that'll be the same for both of them. 15 and 60. And then, because you can't always rely on things to end up with the right RPMs, we're going to set up some RPM over failsafes. So the pistons will both get extended to 1 RPM. Then I think this is the last page of the complicated controls. We are going to set up some RPM values for the leg rotors and hinges. So everything is basically more or less going to get set to 10 RPM except for like one thing. So both rotors will be 10 RPM, that'll offset them. Then we've got, what have we got? Ankle hinges. Yeah, L03 is 10 RPM. And R03 is -10, because that's the other way around. That'll be facing backwards. What's that, Seth? What I referred to earlier for a checkbox at opposite hinge, user-friendly in case last save state was a while ago during testing. Yeah, I mean, what I'd like in that kind of case would be like an invert value button on the hinge or something, like the same way that suspensions have invert steering and invert propulsion. I think something like that would be quite a good feature for a hinge to have, because sometimes you have put it the wrong way around and you want to use the right kinds of values that all match up, and sometimes you don't. But if you could invert the values, that would be quite cool. Right, so then the knee hinges are both going to be +10. And when I trigger this timer, if I've done it correctly, nothing should happen. If something moves, I've set it up wrong. Trigger that, nothing's happened. Cool, that means that sets all of those things into that position we're in now. Groovy. So, if I jump out of there, I can quickly look at the reset controls, which are much simpler. It's only 2 pages of them, as opposed to the 4 pages of start controls. So that's that page, that's that page, and then we will copy all of that over here. We've only got 1 mech attached to the building, so that's fine. Reset controls. Just grab those screenshots. 2 pages of them. That's the one. Right. So for this one, we are going to turn a whole bunch of stuff off and reset a whole bunch of things. What's that, Seth? Sometimes it's definitely a steep learning curve to math without client intervention. Yeah, that's why I always suggest playing with the creative tools and having damage turned off when you're experimenting, because that will kind of help mitigate some of the problems you'll encounter. Things will be less explodey if you do it that way. Right, so what we're doing, we are going to reset these lights. We're going to turn them off and turn them on again. And then that way, both leg lights will end up in the on state. Then we are going to turn the walk cycle controllers off. We are going to stop the walk cycle timer, and we're going to turn that off as well. And we'll also turn off the walk cycle rotor, and that should just stop everything from doing anything at all. And then on the next page, we can reset our legs and hinges and pistons to a nice standing position. So add leg L01 rotor. That is going to rotate to angle 35 degrees at 10 RPM, and we'll use the auto direction on that, so it doesn't matter which way the leg's facing, it should make its way back to the middle. And then for the right hand leg, it is rotate to angle 325 at 10 RPM and auto. Then we've got our ankle hinges, which is the 03 ones, rotate to angle 35 at 10. Rotate to angle 35 at 10 RPM. Then we've got our knee hinges, which we will rotate to 0 at 10 RPM. So that's that one, and that is rotate to angle 0, 10 RPM. And we need to, just in case, set the velocity on the pistons to make them extend back out again. And sometimes things misfire, and that should be everything we need for that. So, start and reset. I need this reset group. Reset group. Cool, so now I've got those. I've got walk start and walk reset. So reset will reset the legs back to the center, and start will set them up for our walk cycle. And if I turn it off, why that? It will do, because I've already set up the groups for it. So yeah, we've now got a walk cycle that can set itself up and reset back, because we put... I've actually... I just put the blocks in, didn't I? Oh no, I did make a group for it. Well, apparently I did make a group for it already. Cool, right, so yeah, there we go. So that's walk controller. Turns on the relevant event controllers, triggers the relevant timers, and then turns the walk cycle rotor on and off when we need it to. And now we've got an auto starting and auto resetting walk cycle. And there we go. Right, so, that is nearly 2 hours. I'm going to have a quick little bio break and grab another cup of tea. I'll be back in a couple of minutes, and we will do a bit more building and a bit of testing. So don't go anywhere. I'll be back in a few minutes. I'll just leave you with a view of ED-209 strolling around for a bit, and I'll be back shortly, so don't go anywhere. Oh, that was the wrong button. Right, hello. We are back again. Fresh cup of tea in hand. Right, so where were we? What were we doing? We were playing with this guy. Right, cool. So, we have just set up those walking controls. Okay, so now if I wanted to test this guy and make him walk around, what we can do for now is I will just chop that off there. I can fix all that later. Now you'll notice he is immediately fallen over. That is because he is not very well balanced, particularly with all of this crap on the back of him. There we go, that is slightly better, but he doesn't have a power source, so let's bung a battery or two on him for the moment. There you go, have some power. Right, so this thing, you can now see he can walk, but he's a little bit janky, a little bit wobbly. He's going to fall over, and the gyros we've got on him aren't really helping an awful lot. They're doing more harm than good at the moment. That is because the subgrid physics is a bit wonky and doesn't know what it wants to do half the time. Which is why you'll see on a lot of my builds rotors with gyros hanging off the back of them. Or sometimes they're buried. They're usually buried inside the build, but this one's so small that I can't really get away with that. And what we've got there, essentially, is... hang on, use a different rotor. Use a small one. Basically, what we've got there is a rotor with a bit of shear inertia tensor on it. And 0 limits. Copy all of that. Copy all of that, and then with the shear inertia tensor on, it will share the physics of the rotor head with the rest of the grid. And if we slap a couple of gyroscopes on that and set them to override controls, that then adds a whole load of override, or gyro override, to this mech. And it is now much more stable. And if I take those rotors, turn that shear inertia tensor off, goes right back to being a wobbly, hideously overpowered mess. Turn that back on again. Get him back on his feet. And yeah, he's nice and easily controllable. Because we've got that remote control on it, the remote control can obviously use the thrusters, which can use the walk cycle controls as if we had a cockpit on there. And it's super simple. Really simple little trick for making your mechs stand up straight. Who's that even attached to? Oh, that was attached there. You know what? We are gonna take all that off and actually rebuild it properly in a second. So, we'll get rid of that. Yes, Ed, I know I'm in your way. Give me a second. Oh. There we go. Yeah, right, we'll get out of your way. Give me a minute. There we go. Would be able to hopefully paste that back onto here. Or not, typical. You know what? It doesn't need to be in the centre. We'll paste it on anywhere. That'll do. It needs to be attached. There, cool. Right, let's get that battery back off there. Bum, 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 bum. Oh yeah, rotors. Right, so gyro override rotors. Let's pop up a couple of them on properly. They will be there to stop our mech from tipping over too much. They won't stop him tipping over completely if we're a bit too aggressive on the controls, but they will help it from going over. Right, so let's pop that onto there. That's exactly the same, so that can have the same name. Where are my gyros gone? There they are. So one there, one there. Copy that. Copy and paste that. There we go. We've now got some gyro override, so he'll be a little bit more sturdy on his feet. What did I do there with that bit of armour? Let me just look. Right, so we did 3 of them out the back and then a connector to get some fuel into him. So let's readjust some of this thing here. Yeah, there we go. Alright, let's pop in a conveyor connection there, and then I can get a bit of fuel into him. It's going to come out that far. Let's adjust this a little bit further. And then that's going to have a connector at the end. I've got uranium on me. There we go. And that can feed into the reactor, and now he's got power. Cool. Right, he's got his own power source. That makes life easier. Right, so what else do we need to set up? We need to set up. Let's set up the turret controls. In fact, let's build the arms first and then set up the turret controls. What's under that? That is just a regular. Oh. Did I copy those settings yet? Probably not. Nope. Copy those arm settings before we start, so we don't accidentally mount the arm the wrong way around. Right, so then we'll have that for the shoulder section, and then a hinge with the pegs at the back. For the elbows. What's this gun doing? Actually, in there, that is a corner piece, isn't it? Yeah, it's a corner piece. Groovy. A corner piece there. Is that the right orientation? Yes. Yep, corner piece, and then we have air vent, corner, gun. Yeah, cool. Right, air vent, just because it looks a bit cooler and slightly more interesting than just another conveyor. Well, actually, we'll mount that the other way around. Have one there like so, one there like so. Copy those settings. And copy those settings. Alexander, need to go, but have a great time. Oh, no worries, man. Thank you for dropping by, as always. And thank you for continuing to be a supporting member. It's very much appreciated. So yeah, have a good day, dude. Or good evening, whatever it happens to be for you. Right, so then we will have a corner block, a corner. Nope, I had it the right way around. A corner, another corner. And then I don't have guns on my toolbar, obviously. Where have they gone? There they are. Then we'll have the good old-fashioned one, because I actually think that looks a little bit better for the ED-209 design. It's a little bit stubbier. His guns are quite stubby. And that is all of that. So, let's copy that setting, put it onto there. If the game would like to copy the settings for me, copy all. Thank you. There we go. Gatling gun, copy all. Copy, paste. So we've got the arm, that and that, groovy. Did we do... Yeah, we did that, so it's just the vent and the gun for the right arm. Copy that. Paste that onto there. Nick all the gun naming details. Groovy. Right. Let's pop in a few other bits. So, I'm going to use some of these media players as little bits of greebling because they look quite cool. I like all the details on the sides. And if you ignore the screen on that side, they look like a little flappy panel thing that's opened up. Ah, no worries, Seth. Oh, you're going for chicken wings. Oh, I want chicken wings. You're making me jealous. Enjoy your chicken wings, man. Okay. Oh yeah, and the whole point of putting them there was so I can stick some spotlights on the ends of the arms. Oh yeah, actually, that isn't corner piece. That is actually, I changed that design to these small inset connectors because they actually can double as a corner conveyor that you have access to. So I find them to be handy little access ports for conveyor systems that I've blocked off with sorters if I need to get into them at any point. That makes a good little access point. And also a little bit of extra bonus storage space too. Right, cool. So let's copy that spotlight details onto there. We'll copy them onto there. Yeah, that's not too bad. Yeah, I did name them. So let's copy that. So we've got an ammo port on that side. Got an ammo port on that side, which we'll name R01. Controllers, let's name them. I'll nick all of that off there. Copy all of that. Paste that onto there. And that's the right hand arm, yep. Copy all of that. And then that can go on there. And that should be most of the bits I need for that for now. Oh yeah, in fact we'll build those lights as well, because they are the on and off switches for a bunch of stuff. I'll have 3 of those across the back. Grab those settings, put them on there. Crouch mode. Let's set that up in a bit. Torso light, copy that. So we're going to set up the torso and the arms first. Right, I think. Oh yeah, we already set up the... Did we? Where was the controller that does your arms on and off? Where did I put that? Crouch mode. Docking controller. Controls at the sides. Oh, it was those ones that I never named, that's why. Copy all of that. That gets to be that controller. Copy all of that. That gets to be torso controller. Groovy. Right then, so, add arms. So, we'll set these controllers up for the arms. So, the azimuth, side to side, that is the arm hinges. Where is the arm hinges in this mess of stuff? Add leg hinge, arm hinge, there we go. Arm hinge there, and then his arm rotor will be the elevation arm rotor left. We haven't got a camera on these arms, so I didn't bother with that. They, for some reason, are set to way too fast. And then the gun, add that in. Turn that on, turn that off, turn that off, turn that off, turn that off. In fact, the small ship's on. On. Probably also help. Guns were switched on. What's missing there? Ah, there we go. It's targeting me now. Right, good. You're working. Fantastic. Oh, something was broken with it then. Cool. Right, and then set the other arm up quickly. That'll be the same as a myth. Side to side would be arm hinge on the right, and then arm rotor. Where are you in this mess of stuff? Rotor. There we go. Nope, not that one. One. I don't know why that has set itself to that high when I've copied and pasted the settings, but whatever. Bum, 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 turn that off, turn that off, turn that off. Just target characters, friendlies and neutrals for the moment. So we can check that you are in fact working. You are not turned on though. That would help. Yep, there we go. Cool. Right, the arms are mostly working. Let's turn that off. Just aim at characters. So, when turret controllers aim at stuff, we can get turret controllers to do things as well. So we're going to make a group for these arm spotlights. One for each of them. And when the left hand controller is aiming at something, we will set up a few actions, and for now it's just going to be that spotlight changing colour. So when it targets something, I like to set it to red to indicate it's locked a target, and then set it back to cyan to indicate it has lost targets. We will also make sure they're switched on. And for the right hand, it's the same thing. Spotlight, set colour, red. Spotlight, set colour, cyan. Now if I hop out the seat, when they lock target. Hello? You want to target me? What are you doing? I'm turning on and off again. Why are you locked? Are you locked onto a target? Oh, there you go. Kicked in eventually. There we go. So when they lock onto targets, they turn red, and when they can't see a target, they're blue or cyan. Cool. Right. Torso. Right. Similar thing with the torso controls, except we don't need any guns. So, azimuth will be add torso rotor, elevation will be add torso hinge. I'm going to set them to that instead. But we do need a camera for that, because otherwise we can't control it or aim with it. So, what did we do? Camera sitting on top of just a block. Front here, which is... yeah, it's that block, isn't it? Yeah. So, let's put... I got heat vents on here. No, haven't. Let's grab some heat vents and make a little grill across the front. Grab that colour. Want that there for a second, and then we're going to have a camera Sitting on top of that. There we go. Copy all of that. Paste that onto there. Cool. Right, so then we can set that camera, add camera, there we go, and then we get access to all these other controls, there we go. Right, we've enabled the AI, turn all of that off, turn that off, turn that off, turn that on, yeah, sound, that's all set up. Jump out there. Oh yeah, it's got 0 limits at the moment because I copied the details from its reset state rather than its active state. So let me turn that on, because you will now be looking at me. There we go. You look at me like that for a second while I sneak in and grab those rotor settings. Minus 25 and 25, that's what it was. There we go. You can go back to normal, thank you. And yeah, like they were being turned on in the first place. And we can control it as well now. There we go. Right, so we've got control over the torso. And it's aiming at us and targeting. Cool. Because yeah, you can effectively daisy chain lots of turret-controlled subgrids together to create that kind of thing. And bring a little bit more movement into your grids and your robots and things. Cool, right, that stuff all works. So, on and off controls for those weapons and for the torso. Now this is this is an event controller absolutely jam-packed to its limit because I was running out of space to put things. So I'm gonna have to make quite a few. Oh, you know what? Just one screenshot. I can just read everything off the side. That should be fine. Yeah, there's nothing crazy in there. It's all just set velocities. What are those set velocities? They're just 5s. Yeah, that's all simple enough. And then torso. You on and off. Screenshot that. Those screenshots open, make my life a little bit easier. There we go. That, get rid of that. Right, cool, okie dokie. Then, so add arms. Let's make a way to turn these arms on and off. Alright, so we're going to need to make some more groups. So we'll have a group for the arm controllers, a group for the arm light. What else do I need in there? I need one group for the spotlights. I need one for the Gatling guns. Arm hinges and armor rotors. So I need one for each rotor and one for the hinges, so we can have one group for both hinges, one group for the left arm, one group for the right arm. Did you make that group properly? Yeah, I did. And that is all I need for that for now. So, add arm. We've got all these bits. Arm weapons on and off. So that is going to be, again, block switched on and off. Arm weapons light will be the trigger for it, and when that turns on, we're going to do a bunch of stuff. When it turns off, we're going to do another bunch of stuff. So what did we have then? We had add arm. Add arm. Add arm. There we go. So first things first is the turret controllers turning on and off. Then we'll have the AI for them turning on and off. There's a little bit of a failsafe. Then we've got the arm spotlights turning on and off and changing from they'll be set to cyan when they turn on, and they'll be set to orange when they turn off. Then we've got the Gatling guns turning on and off. We don't want them firing by mistake at any point. Then we've got our arm weapons lights. We're going to put a colour change into him as well, so that can be green when it's on and orange when it's off. And then what have we got? We've got some velocity settings for some arm hinges, which I'm almost certainly going to get the wrong way around, as I always do. So, when the controller turns on, we're going to reset the velocities on both of them, just as a little fail-safe. And then that rotor, I think, I always get this wrong. I think it's -5. Yeah. I think that one's -5, and I think that one is +5. It's almost certainly the other way around, but do that for now. And then we've got the arm hinges. We are going to reset the velocity on that, and then should be 5 RPM on that to reset it. And that should be it. And there's one slot left over for something I haven't built yet. Cool. So, in theory, if I flick that on and then flick it off, there we go, everything resets back to there. Turn it on, it all activates and turns on again. The arms can aim at me, we can get them pointing up in the air at a stupid angle. That's that one. Turn that light off again, and there we go. Arms reset. Lovely. Just what we wanted. And then reset into a nice symmetrical default position, and then we'll do the same thing with the torso controls. So if I get that other screenshot. Right. So, torso controller, once again, block switched on and off. Torso light. We'll need a group for that. We'll need a group for the rotor. We'll need a group for the hinge. We'll need a group for the... Oh, I've just done that, you idiot. So, units. Also, that's controlling C, controlling B instead of controlling C. Right, control unit torso, and then the camera. We need one for that too. Oh no, actually, no, the camera stays. No, the camera stays on, but we can have a group for it anyway. It'll come in useful later. So, torso controls. That's on and off. That's got the light. Head. Torso. What have we got first then? So, same thing again. On and off for the turret controller. AI on and off as well, just in case. And we've got the torso light, which we will set the colour on. Yep. So that can be green when it turns on, and orange when it turns off. Then we have got, what have we got next? Yeah. So, we need to set some limits on this. We have the rotor hinges and torso, rotor hinge, the torso, rotor and hinge, let me get my words out properly. They're going to move about, but we also want that to reset back to 0, so... what were those limits? What are the limits that we're on now? There's an easy way we can check by going to increase lower limit. Right, that lower limit is set to -10, so set that to -10. Yeah, that's the one. And we'll do the other bit in a second. So increase upper limit, that is +10. There we go. And then we've got the rotor, so increase lower limit, that is minus. So I'll set it to that. And then increase upper limit, that is +25, as I thought it would be. So 25 there. And then go back to here again, and we can rotate the angle on that to 0 at 5 RPM, and rotate that back to 0 at 5 RPM automatically, so it just goes back to the middle, whatever direction it's facing. And then after those, the last things we have are a spotlight that I have not built, so I'm not going to worry about it for now. Actually, where was that spotlight going? It's going on a block I've not built, so let's... Oh yeah, it's also still following me. Let's pop that block under there, because that's where it's going to go anyway. And we can quickly set up a spotlight to go there. Copy all. Copy. Paste. And it's also spotlight. There we go. And in the last thing, and it's also spotlight. Set that to cyan when it turns on, and orange when we turn it off. And then we can... Hang on, if I just do that with the... Oh, I did make a group. And then we can add that group into the setup actions on the torso controller. So... set that to red when it's locked to target. And set it to cyan when it's lost to target. So I'm going to turn it on so I can see the colour change. Yep, there we go. And then that changes red when it targets me, and changes to cyan when it loses target. Cool. Bum ba bum bum. So if that's set up correctly now, I should be able to flick that light on and off, and it all resets back to there. Turn it on, and that sets it up with its limits, so it can track me again. Cool. Turn that weapon light on. Get everything aiming at me. Get rid of all this garbage because we know that works. Add lights. Arm light, torso light. I can now turn that off to reset them, and that off to reset them. Cool. Right, that's that. What else? What other systems were in there that needed building? The crouch controls. Now, let's get them built. Yeah, it just has pages and pages of complicated nonsense, so let's do screenshot of that page, screenshot of that page, and screenshot of that page. Did I leave that folder open this time? Yes, I did. I can get some screenshots easier. So, that's the one that I want this time. Cool, right, that's that one. And we will grab some screenshots of this one too. Yeah, that's the one. Nope. Ah, you know what, that'll be fine. Cool. Right, we can build these crouch controls now. Yeah, right. Groovy. So I should have that stuff mostly in place. Over here, yes. Yeah, cool. So, again, another block switched on and off kind of deal, with the light as the switch. So how did I set that switch up? Because I wanted it to be a little bit of a fail-safe switch so you can't actually accidentally trigger the wrong thing at the wrong time. Off. On, off. Yeah, okay. Ooh, I know. Crouch. Mode. Crouch controls. Off and off, so that switches them both off first. And then on and trigger and trigger. That way we can't accidentally trigger them both at the same time. So, route control on is the first thing we need to set up. And we're going to have a whole bunch of fail-safes in this, but half of them I haven't actually built yet. So I'm not going to worry about them. The only thing I actually need to put on there for the moment is a group with these controllers so that the legs don't automatically try and extend again. So crouch on RTN for return, that can go off, and that is a whole bunch of stuff we don't have yet. And what do we do here? Right, so and leg bits and pieces. What are we doing first? Leg rotor L01 will rotate to angle 5 degrees at 5 RPM counterclockwise. And the other one will rotate to angle 355 at 5 RPM, and it will go clockwise. And what have we got? We have got the knee hinges. They are going to rotate to angle. And what was to that? I thought that was a slightly different speed when it's crouched. It's the others. Yeah, that stays at 10 RPM. It's just those that change to 5. Thought so. Right, so head, leg. That is going to be rotate to angle -55 at 10 RPM. That is going to be the same. That'll be 55 at 10 RPM. Then we've got the ankles. They are going to go to 60 at 5 RPM. 60 at 5 RPM, and then the pistons are going to retract, but nice and slowly, so set velocity 0.5. Oop, that was the wrong one. Set velocity -0.5. And set velocity, that's the one, -0.5. And there was a few other bits. What do we need? We need to make thing. There we go. Right, we need to make a group for the warp thrusters. Need them to turn off. And we need a group for ED gyros. Well, the control ones, the balance ones get to stay on, otherwise you'll topple over. That's that. Yeah, okie dokie. We'll do the heat vents later, that's fine. And Crouch. Right, so that last group, or the last page on here, thrusters off, gyros on override to stop him tipping over. Torso hinge can rotate. Yeah, rotate to angle 10 degrees at 5 RPM. The crouch mode light and change colour to orange. And that's about it for now. And then when we turn it off, we are going to turn, first of all, those return controllers back on again. Now we're pretty much going to recreate a lot of the reset controller, but a reset timer, with a few slight differences. So ED leg. Left hand leg will be rotate to angle 35 at 5 RPM. We'll do that clockwise so it doesn't spin the wrong direction. Then the right hand leg will be 325 at 5 RPM. And we're going counterclockwise with that one. Then we've got our ankle hinges. I keep doing it differently each one. You know what? I'm going to do the knee hinges first. So that will be rotate to angle 0 at 10. That'll be rotate to angle 0 at 10. Then the knee hinges are rotate to 35 because they'll match the knees. So that's 5. There we go. Rotate to angle 35 at 5. Oops. Whatever. Redo that. Rotate to angle 35 at 5 RPM. That's the one. And then the leg pistons can extend at 0.5 RPM, or meters a second, whichever one it is. And then on the last page of that, you just need to turn some stuff back on again. So, ED thrusters on, ED gyros override off, ED torso hinge rotate to angle 0 at 5, and torso light, no, crouch mode light rather. Crouch mode light turns to green. Yeah. Set colour. Oop, not white, set colour green. Cool, so let me just double check that. Yeah, cool. So, in theory, we've got that light switch now. Hopefully this works. Turn it off, it all crouches down. Turn it on, he stands up. So there we go. We've now just replicated that crouch function. Cool. So what other controls did we need to rebuild? There is the AI controls, isn't there? Yes, there is. So what did I do for the guard mode stuff? Ooh, that's another jam-packed event controller. Yeah, a whole bunch of stuff in there. We can now play toggle block on and off, set colours. There's nothing there I need to see precise details of. Right, that's fine. Do screenshot for that as well. Bum 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 bum. So, what groups did I have for guard mode over here? A failsafes group, a guard mode group. Ooh, they've got all sorts of stuff in them. What's in that guard mode group? That is the sensor we haven't built. Oh yeah, that's sensor. Right way around? Just the right way around. Cool. So I've got that sensor on there as a way of getting around not being able to use collision avoidance in the AI blocks. Because collision avoidance on mechs just tries to run away from the floor and doesn't end well. Right, so we've got that, and that. To be honest, it's nearly 1 o'clock in the morning where I am now, so I'm going to wrap this stream up fairly soon. But we can at least test this weird skeleton version of the mech. So let's get the AI blocks up and running, or at least some basic version of the AI blocks up and running. Guard mode, that has got all the right details on it. It's set to follow me. Fantastic. And yeah, there's one thing we will do. What was that sensor doing? Roll thruster on off, cycle off. Reset, do. Yeah, okay. Grab that screenshot too. Not the correct one. Refresh that folder. There we go, that's the one I want. What do I need there? Right, cool, okay. And thruster forward. We'll make a group for that one. What got that. Right, that's the only group we need to make for that. So, ED's control sensor. Thruster forward. That is going to get turned off and on when the sensor detects things to stop the walk cycle triggering. It will also turn the walk cycle rotor off with a little failsafe. Then ED, walk, start and reset. We need to do some funny business with them. So what have we got? Walk, start, can turn off. Walk, reset, can turn off. Walk, reset, on, walk, start, on, walk, reset. Trigger, walk, start. Trigger. And then reset can turn off again, and start can turn off again. Cool. Right, that's that. We will make a group for that sensor. Add AI. I didn't build a light for it, did I? So let's just pop. Let's just pop a dummy light on the side for now. We'll move it eventually, but that can go there. And we'll just call that AI mode light for the moment. Add AI guard mode. Lock switched on and off. Light, there it is. Right, so what did we do with this particular group of controls? On that one, it was that one. There we go. Oh yeah, I need to make those fail-safe groups, didn't I? Hey, complicated stuff. What was in that failsafe group? Failsafe guard mode. 2 blocks. Is that just the buttons? Crouch mode button. Oh, control mode and crouch mode button. I haven't got them, so I'll ignore that group for now. Don't worry about that. Guard mode. What was that? That is the sensor, the AI blocks, and something else. The torso light. That was the one. So, sensor, AI blocks, torso light. That's fine. And then the AI unit. That is just the AI blocks itself. Right, cool, okay. Add AI. What was it? AI guard mode. In fact, it was add. So we needed the sensor, that, and the offensive block, wherever the hell I put that. Where's your offensive block gone? I built it, didn't I? Yeah, I did, I just never named it. That's why. head bits. Right, so what are we looking for? We were looking for that sensor, that, and that, and what was the other thing? The torso light. There we go. That gets to be ED-209. What was it? AI guard mode. Cool. And then we need another group for just the AI units. And AI guard mode light. Nah, I'm not going to worry about that. And the rest is fine. Right, cool. Okay. Add AI mode, guard mode on. Got that light, got that set up. AI guard mode. So that is going to be on and off for those blocks, and then we've got the AI unit guard. There we go, that's the one. So that will be AI behavior on and off. And we can ignore that one, and then we've got some warp control settings. So warp start. Warp start is trigger now apparently. Warp reset turns on. Then the next one, warp reset turns off. And warp start turns on. Then we've got warp start off. Warp reset trigger. Yeah, apparently that is what makes sense. And then we also need to turn off this thruster here, so we need to turn that back on. Oh yeah, because it's a fail-safe control, so that can turn on there. Then our arm weapons light can turn off as a fail-safe when we turn the thing off. And then we can turn that thruster back on again. And that should be some kind of AI settings. I flick that off, flick that on, there we go. All of that is turned on. He is now trying to follow me. But he's not going to do an amazing job of it, because he'll be a little bit wonky. Right, so if I flick that, turn that back off, that resets everything. Cool. Right, so I'm going to wrap this stream up in a few minutes, but before I do, let's give this guy a little bit of a test run. Let's also turn the sun back on so we can actually see what we're doing. There we go. There we go, we've got our skeletal robot mech standing around by himself. I can control him manually if I want to. And he can walk around. And he can stop and start and all that kind of stuff. And because of the way I set up the controls before, if I turn that on, he will now start trying to follow me. But if I go up too high, he will get confused and not know what to do. And that is because the grid AI needs to think that it behave yourself. It needs to be able to think that it can fly upwards. It doesn't necessarily need to actually be able to do it. It just needs to think it can. And a way of tricking it is by sticking a thruster on the bottom, specifically an unconnected hydrogen thruster. Because the AI blocks will register that there is thrust there, but it doesn't account for the fuel. So it'll go, hey, I can fly up now, I've got an up thruster. But it doesn't check the fuel. So now, when we activate that, I fly up high into the air. He can now actually follow me and follow targets that are above him, because the AI is thinking that it's flying up and forwards, when in reality it's just walking forwards. But yeah, if you ever find that your flying drones aren't quite working properly, check to make sure you've got thrust in all directions. Yeah, now I've got a basic little drone robot that can follow us around. We've got him patrolling there. We've got... oh, I took all these buttons off. Let's turn your patrol functions on. Let's see what you do. And get you to stand up, and you can also follow me as well. There we go. Now it's got a whole bunch of robots wandering about, doing stuff. And the sensors on the front turn off the walk controls, so that they can't accidentally run into stuff and break and things like that. They can't bump into each other or into the sides of buildings. Yeah, Bob's your uncle. Automated vanilla robot mech. I don't think I've even got my mech building pack in this game. These are all entirely vanilla as far as I can remember. Yeah, they'll just happily plod around until they run out of power. Make that guy crouch down. I can get to his controls. That's why I put the buttons on the front of them. Makes it easier. Stop turning around. There we go. Turn that off. Turn that off. You can crouch down. No, I need to set an off function for that spotlight, but whatever. Yeah, there you go. That is how you can build a basic vanilla drone mech that can follow you around the place and do stuff. Oh, I didn't turn him on properly. I turned on his turned on the wrong controls. He's now doing weird stuff. Let's see if the AI will get him back on his feet. There you go. Yeah, the AI blocks have a surprisingly... they seem to be able to use the gyroscopes better than players can. Yeah, there you go. Right, let's turn you on again. You can go on patrol. There's one last little thing. Let's take this little dude. And give him to the bad guys. In a second. Oh, did I make him neutral? Oh, I did make him neutral. I thought I gave him to the space pirates. Select all. Give it to space pirates. There we go.
Please put down your weapon. You have 20 seconds to comply.
There you go. The offensive AI blocks have taken over, and they're all now...
15 seconds to comply.
They are now all trying to kill this little robot, but they've not got any bullets, so they can't. Yeah, they will all try and track him now. Oh yeah, I can't turn him on though, because I've made him a bad guy. Ooh, what's a point? Oh, well, your AI blocks are going to start doing weird stuff though, aren't they? Yeah, because there's a bit of a bug sometimes with some of these guys. Let's just quickly cycle back through your control settings. So you go... Oh yeah. Yeah, that's it. You can just fall over. Get back up. There you go. Have I got original owner on paste? Let's get rid of that. Let's put you down. Let's turn you on. Turn your control systems on. There you go. Little drone dude. Little drone buddy is working. Take the ammo out of his gun, just so he doesn't start shooting stuff when I don't want him to. Stop, you little git. Roll A, everything. Give him to space pirates. And then he should have an offensive block on him. I think he's got an offensive block on him. Yeah, there we go. Right. And he'll just run around trying to wind them up now. Yeah, so you can make little wheeled drones as well. Although he is going to crash headlong into that. You've got nowhere to go there, mate. The 209s are coming for you. You backed yourself into a corner. Oh well, he's stuck there now. That is his fate. He has sealed it. Right, I'll let the Eddies intimidate him. Do you not feel like following that guy?
20 seconds to comply.
Right, yeah, I'm going to leave that there because it's now gone 1 o'clock in the morning.
15 seconds to comply.
Oh, I'm going to leave that there now because it's quite late where I am now, and I want to go to bed. So, thank you for watching. Thank you for chatting. Thank you to the people that donated super chats. That is super amazing of you, and I really appreciate it. I'll be back again on Sunday to stream more of my Apex Mechs survival series, where I'm currently building another kind of biped suit, but that's one that I can actually pilot myself. You doing a little jig, are you, mate? Yeah, he's doing a little wiggle. But yeah, I'll be back on Sunday for more of that. I should have next episode of Alien Survival, my edited series, up in a few days when I get a chance to sort that out, and I will hopefully have a blueprint for this guy up on Steam and Mod.io at some point this week, because he's more or less finished. There's a few little things that we discovered whilst doing this stream that need changing. But yeah, I'm going to leave that there. So, thanks for watching, thanks for chatting, and I will see you all on Sunday for more Apex Mech Survival. So, cheers guys, and goodbye for now.